morning, Tennessee Valley. Back here on this Friday morning. Friday again, James.
Yes, it is.
We say that every week.
Friday again. Every morning I wish it was Friday. I ask
You
Mondays.
like Fridays.
I do. I have to work Saturday anyway, so.
Yeah.
But we're here today. We have a very special program today. It's something that I thought would be a good thing to do right here before the holidays. Is just go over safety. I mean, just safety, and just not safety. It's a little bit of what not to do, and then what to do. And so we're here today, and Matt Brinkman's here with us today. Officer Matt Brinkman's here today from the Cleveland Police Department, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what you shouldn't be doing. So Matt, go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know kind of what's going on.
Good morning. I'm Matt Brinkman. I'm with the Cleveland Police Department. It's getting close to the holidays, so we want to make sure that everybody just follows a few important safety precautions when traveling, because this is the busiest time of the year for travelers. Just a few tips. One of the big ones is get your car checked. Take it down, make sure it's serviced, make sure your tires are good to go. We all know winter weather comes in, people are traveling great distances. Just simple precautions like that, it will make the difference between making it to your destination and then breaking down on the road, which you do not want to do. Other things, make sure you leave yourself plenty of time when you travel. As it gets closer to Christmas and New Year's, I mean, the roads just become packed. We all know this. And if you can avoid peak hours, you want to avoid peak hours. Leave a couple hours early, plan your route out, make sure you arrive safely, so that way you don't get stuck in traffic forever, and hopefully you won't have any traffic accidents. Make sure you buckle up. That is the most important things. Tennessee roadway fatalities are very high this year, and you want to make sure that you and your family are buckled up and your smaller children are in restraints. And if you are going to go out and enjoy the parties, and you decide to drink, make sure you have a designated driver, and that could mean the difference between coming home for the holidays and not.
Right, because if they go out and drink and everything, you don't have a designated driver, you may be their designated driver.
Absolutely.
You take them to a place they don't want to go.
Absolutely.
But so on that, I mean, everyone says, there's checkpoints and everything. New Year's coming up, Christmas coming up. There are checkpoints, correct? I mean, sobriety checkpoints and different things. And on that hand, what happens? I mean, what's it like? I mean, somebody gets pulled over for drinking driving. I mean, what's going to happen to them?
If you get pulled over for the suspicion of drinking and driving, you're going to have to submit to field sobriety tests. And, if you don't pass those and you go for a blood alcohol test or a field sobriety, a breathalyzer test, and, you're looking at jail time, if you are caught drunk driving, losing your license, and it has serious consequences.
And that's first time, correct? First time offenders?
Absolutely.
I mean, and then it's after that, it's what, license loss and different things?
It can be, yes.
I mean, there's a lot of things. Now, seatbelt checks, those are out there too, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what's the penalties for some of those?
It depends on who pulls you over as far as, how much your fine is going to be. But, the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter, how much your ticket, that's going to save your life. I mean, you're looking at if you're in an accident and you don't have your seatbelt on, it's exponential, the, damage or injuries that you could incur, and even fatality.
Okay. Now, during the holidays, do you find out there's more domestic violence calls? I mean,
there
calls for that. I mean,
yes, sir. I
mean, what would you recommend somebody next door? I mean, like you hear people, we just did a friend of ours was just talking about some different things over the past 2 or 3 years where people have gotten, like one guy was talking about on Subway was getting stabbed by a gang and nobody got up and helped. I mean, what would you recommend someone, someone hears something going on, sees something going on? I mean, I know calling them, but I mean, not really getting involved. I mean, that's one.
Definitely be vigilant. I mean, this is a great time of year. Families get together, people out purchasing gifts and having a good time. But unfortunately, the other side of that is, burglaries are going to rise. People breaking in. People are going to become victims of crimes because they know they're carrying extra money on them or expensive presents. So the biggest thing is just to become vigilant. If you see something that's suspicious, by all means call law enforcement. You don't want to step in unless it's a life or death situation, because that can get you injured severely, and we can respond and take care of the situation.
Okay. Now you would recommend someone calling, even if it's, I mean, suspicious. You said suspicious. I mean, even if they're not 100% sure, you would rather come out and check and be wrong about something.
Yes, sir.
Than not somebody getting called. So I mean, that's I guess something, because a lot of people don't want to call. They think, it's nothing, and then you find out later that it was something.
Correct.
And anything else? I mean, anything else you can think of that we need to kind of watch and
Just
do?
to be vigilant, be safe, have a good time, and just follow those few steps that I talked about ahead of time. Make sure you make it to your families.
Okay. Now, how long have you been an officer?
5 years.
5 years. I mean, now you go through the academy here at Cleveland State?
I went through at Donaldson in
Donaldson, okay.
Nashville.
Okay. Now, how many within here? I mean, there's different levels of the police officer. I mean, police. There's a Bradley County sheriffs, and there's a Cleveland. But I guess I want to say is where does it stop? I mean, where do you start looking at? Okay, this is sheriff's department, and it goes on out from there as far as calls.
Anything that happens in the city is going to be City of Cleveland. We're going to respond. Bradley County, they can answer emergency calls within the city. If you have a robbery or something, they're going to come and they're going to help out. They handle everything outside the city limits up to the county. And then, of course, THP is going to handle your interstates, stuff like that, working your major wrecks and anything on the interstates or major highways.
Okay. You have anything to say?
I was just thinking, seeing out on the highway signs yesterday, one of the things I saw was no texting while driving.
Correct.
Now that is not a law at this time, correct?
It is a law. You
It
can't
is.
text and drive at this time.
I don't do it. I just
That's good.
How do we get those ones that are texting?
yeah. How do you get those ones that are?
It's difficult, but law passed, and now they're working
Okay.
on it. As far as there's a lot of different things that have to come
Right,
with it. So
right.
they're still working all the kinks out of it.
Right.
We pulled up behind a lady. She was going about 20 miles under the speed limit. And finally, when she went to turn, we could see her. She had a cigarette in one hand and a phone in the other. I don't know how she was driving.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Feet, toes, knees, something. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, she was just driving on the road. When she went to turn, you could see the cell phone in one hand and she was smoking a cigarette in the other one. I was like, how in the world do they do that? I mean,
Right.
and those are the ones you find out later on that's caused an accident.
Correct.
And I know, my brother-in-law's been in a couple accidents, and you find out the ones that caused it usually are not the one that walk away hurt. I mean, it's the other ones that wasn't prepared for it.
Unfortunately.
But what's some of the calls that you get? I mean, that you have to deal with a lot?
As patrol officer, I respond to everything. I mean, if you have a minor accident or somebody steals your property, I'll answer those calls. I'll answer robberies, domestics, fights, anything that you name it. As patrol officers, we're the first to respond to any kind of incident that may happen.
What's one of the ones you've gone on that you would say that would have been kind of your scariest, or your one you wasn't sure of the most?
Probably a few years ago when we had that robbery up north of town and we got into a pursuit. I was fairly new at that stage and it was pretty exciting, and that one sticks out the most.
Okay.
I'm sure there's many.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there
things,
is. Yeah.
know.
But people, you can't watch movies, and people watch these movies and think, oh, this is how it all happens. And I know some of it happens that way, but I'm sure that not all of it's. I mean, there's got to be there is a serious side of all that.
Right.
People think that I think the movies portray, jobs like that, as oh, that's so fun and this and that and everything. But I'm sure there's a whole big serious side on that. You get up every day, you've got to go out there and put your life on the line.
Yes, sir.
And we do appreciate that for that.
Absolutely.
I can lay down at night. I mean, we in Richmond. We lived there, and what was it, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning? Mm-hmm. One of our friends is a police officer, and knocked on the door. Wanted to know what was going on. Evidently, we had what they called a phantom line. We didn't have a house phone. We had cell phones, but our house line was dialing out. Mm-hmm. And he showed up and.
It's a little scary, people banging on the door in the middle of the night.
Our names come across
our
names come across the police scanner, and and people were calling us saying, "What's going on? What's going on?" They're all coming to your house, and we're like, "Nothing."
Yeah.
And then it happened again, and we finally just
Right.
they marked it as a phantom line.
Right.
So, but we were glad that they did show up, because if there was something, I was glad that they showed up and everything.
Right.
And it's always a plus. What do you look forward? I mean, what as a police officer? I mean, how's that go? I mean, you just move up in rank.
Yes, sir. You have to put your time in. After 5 years, you're eligible to test for sergeant. Which is also a detective position, and you just keep working up from there. And that's something I would like to do is move up the ladder and eventually become supervisor and stay here for a while.
Now, is that something, say, as a young man, did you know you wanted to become a police officer?
I always did. Yes,
You always,
I always wanted to.
yeah.
So see,
You never know.
yeah, I mean, I've thought about it, but I ended up going in the military.
Right.
And my brother-in-law was actually in the military. He's a military police. And then he worked as a prison guard after he got out of the military. But yeah, I mean, it's always, I mean, I've always, I always wanted to be one, but never, I went a different route, but I thought it would be an exciting job.
Right.
Well, that would, I mean, I would like that, especially when you're behind someone like that driving with the phone and cigarette and think, why didn't I become a police officer? Citizens, how about citizens arrest? Is that a true thing? How does that work? You hear everybody talk about it.
It's a little complicated, sure, citizens can step in, and hold somebody for us to arrive. But, again, you got to be very careful because at that point, a citizen has put themselves, on the line for something. And, that's what we get paid to do. And that's our job. So we urge people, don't get involved unless you feel it's absolutely life or death necessary kind of thing.
Okay. I'll say, I wouldn't want to step in and try to stop the lady that's driving and smoking and talking because she probably could just kick the daylight.
If she can multitask, she can do that too.
Yes.
One other thing with the holidays too, do you see a rise in purse stealers?
Oh, absolutely. You see a rise in any kind of crime of opportunity like that, whether it be, snatching purses or, doors left unlocked. And, people know that, like I said, people have extra money and there's expensive gifts laying around, so they're going to do whatever they can to take that. And unfortunately, that's the world we live in.
Right.
And just simple things like locking your doors, being extra vigilant, is all that matters, and you can help deter crime that way. And even call if you see something suspicious, like we talked about. It may not be true, most of the time it's not, it's just people going on with their lives, but still, that's what we're out here for, and any way we can deter crime, we want to.
Okay.
I was thinking also the same thing would be for was it Code Adams, for the missing kids?
Right.
I think that's, I don't hear as much as many of those. Is that kind of declined a little bit?
There's a certain protocol it has to follow in order for those to go into effect, and they're still going into effect, and so.
Has the process become, better, I guess you would say, as far as?
Yes, it's more streamlined, and they have a pretty good recovery rate for those.
I'll say, because I notice, we get them text over our phones. I see a lot of people post on Facebook. I mean, it goes out quick now. I mean, it's like these guys that do that can't get out of the city. Sometimes it seems like.
Right.
Okay.
It's good programs.
Well, Matt, we're actually out of time. I do appreciate you being on here today. I mean,
Thank you.
There's probably going to be 100 questions after you walk away that I can think of.
We'll have him back.
Yes, we will. But we do appreciate you being on here today.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for taking time out of your schedule to be here.
Yes. Folks, we'll be back here in a few minutes. We've been speaking with Matt Brinkman of the Cleveland Police Department, and we do appreciate him being here. And if you see him, hopefully it's on good terms. So you know what like he said, put your seatbelt on, don't drink and drive. Luckily, you won't see him behind you in the mirror. But other than that, we're going to go away to a break here in a moment, and we will be back, so stay tuned. We do have 2 more guests, and I'll tell you what, it's some good information out there, so stay tuned.
Town Americana, where trucks are big and bold, and a handshake is firm, and your word is gold. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens is a $2,000 drive. Maybe you're coming from here or here, doesn't matter. Buying a truck from Don Ledford in Athens will save you at least $2,000. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens, a $2,000 drive worth making.
I'll take that drive every time.
Hello, I'm Bill Odom.
Hi, and I'm Tammy Odom.
We want to invite you to join us on Joyous Living Today for interviews, testimonies, and gospel music by special guests and Dixie Sunshine.
Right here on WTNB, Sundays at 4 p.m. and Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. You don't want to miss it.
Jesus, Jesus, the light of the world.
At Crawford Pharmacy, we offer custom compounding. Our pharmacists are known for their attention to detail and unique expertise. So visit us at 2260 Chambliss Avenue, Cleveland, Tennessee. For personal assistance, walk right in or come up to our convenient drive-thru. Crawford Pharmacy, serving our community one person at a time.
Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast in Cleveland, is the place to find quality pre-owned cars and trucks. Kyle offers on-the-spot financing on all vehicles on the lot. Each pre-owned vehicle goes through a complete inspection to make sure each car and truck meets the Kyle Motors standard. Warranty and extended warranties available on all vehicles. Kyle Motors will sell you a car or truck that you will be proud to drive for many years to come. See Tony, Bill, Dale, James, or David and let them put you in your next quality pre-owned vehicle. Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast. Phone 790-7100.
Logan Thompson, attorneys at law, have built a firm offering quality legal services to the people and businesses of Southeast Tennessee. We have achieved expertise in all areas of law in order to represent our clients in a manner they need, deserve, and have come to expect. Logan Thompson, with 9 attorneys and an extensive and competent support staff, is available to provide representation in various legal areas, including family law, Social Security benefits, personal injury, criminal defense, workmen's compensation, as well as business and complex litigation matters. At Logan Thompson, we have been building a tradition of legal services for over 40 years. We have developed the finest legal services and are proficient in providing you with representation you can trust. Give us a call at 423-476-2251 to schedule your free consultation.
Featuring some of the South's most scenic views, the Mountain View Inn has been a landmark in the Cleveland community for over 40 years. Our executive guest quarters with flat-screen TVs and excellent bedding will make any guest comfortable. Carrie's Restaurant is one of Cleveland's favorite, with one of the best buffets around.
Hello, and on behalf of the Hughes family, thank you for so many years of your business and your friendship.
This segment of Tennessee Valley This Morning is brought to you by Crown Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland and 2120 Chapman Road, Chattanooga. For your next new or previously owned vehicle, make it Crown Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, the better way to buy.
Welcome back, Tennessee Valley. We're here with our next guest, Gil Frederick from the Cleveland Fire Department. It's great to have you on the show this morning, Gil.
Thank you for having me.
Glad you could.
This is probably one of the times that we don't mind seeing you. It's probably one of those times.
Yes,
you're like, yeah.
yes. Not really. Not really, James. We wanted to have you on the show today, Gil, because we want to talk about fire safety. You know, it is the holidays, you know. Folks, we have the Christmas lights, the Christmas trees, I mean,
yes.
all sorts of things.
Kerosene
I'm sure there are a lot of,
heaters,
space heaters, so forth, that I'm sure there are some safety rules that we need to follow.
Yes, and unfortunately this time of year is when we see a real rise in the number of calls that we get just because of the cold weather and alternative heating sources and things of that nature. Of course, with the holidays, you have additional fuel packages in your house with wrapping paper and dried out Christmas trees and all that, all that stuff. So yeah, we really do see an increase in calls. I think last December, across the nation, there were 129,000 or close to 129,000 calls in December alone, with around 415 deaths. So. December is a very busy time of month for the fire service.
And it's probably stuff people don't even really think about. I mean, it's probably just something simple as a space heater going and you kick knock a cover off against it, a blanket.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just something real simple. Like you said, the dried up Christmas trees. I mean, that one year we had a real Christmas tree, and we could imagine the pine needles that accumulated under there.
Yes, and if you and the best thing to do is really at the time that you purchase the tree to make sure that the tree is still that it is freshly cut. And there's some things that you can do as far as peeling the needles back and make sure that they don't come off. They should be nice and stiff. The tree should be green, not brown. That's a good indicator that it's been cut for quite some time. If you pick up the tree and bang it onto the ground and move, and if there's a large amount of needles that have fallen off, then that tree's an older tree.
Right.
And we really don't recommend you leave a tree up for more than 2 weeks. But if you do put one up, then we recommend that you keep it watered, of course, and then keep it away from heat sources, heaters, and fireplaces and things of that nature, and especially keep them away from exits. Don't put them in front of doors.
Oh,
well, I think now we celebrate with the Charlie Brown tree.
Yeah, it seems like it.
So I don't think that
minimizes the fuel package a lot.
The cleanup, everything is pretty simple.
Well,
with
because
that.
I think you used to put the tree up around right after Thanksgiving, and they keep backing all this stuff up. You know, it's going to be like we'll be putting a tree up in June and July.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And some people do. Some people leave trees up year round and put what, Easter eggs on them or fireworks or something like that. So
you wouldn't want to do that with a real tree. That would definitely be.
Not at all.
So what's some other things that we need to look for at the holidays?
Lots of people like to put lights either on the tree or on their house, and there's some. You really need to check those periodically just to make sure that there aren't any frayed wiring, that the seat that you put the bulb in is not cracked and split, and also. As far electrically, you don't want to overload outlets with lights or with things that pull power. Most manufacturers of lighting, most Christmas lights come with this little piece of paper, which rarely get read. But in that piece of paper, it will say, "Do not hook more than 3 lights together, or more than 6 lights together," depending on the manufacturer. So it's important that you read that. Piece of literature from the manufacturer and make sure that you don't have more than 6 lights or whatever they recommend chained together in a row. And then, of course, if you power them with an extension cord and they're outside, you want to make sure that you do that with an extension cord that's rated for outside use, not the indoor extension cords. Of course, we always recommend that if you have holiday decorations that you do not leave them unattended.
Now, would you recommend? Now, you said extension cords. Would you recommend extension cords or those power strips with the fuse? You know, like they have the shut off, because that's going to shut that off first. And
right, and if they have power strips that are weather resistant, so you can use them outside. Those are very good to have if you need a point to where you need to plug multiple cords into one power source. Of course. That may not be applicable. Outside power strips vary in. There's not a wide variety of length. The power strips that we use inside, you can buy those with 20-foot cords now, and would definitely recommend those over an extension cord. Absolutely, with the ones that are UL listed and have the reset button on them. Yeah,
I think that's what ours all have is the reset buttons.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially for my computer systems and stuff, I always make sure that they have that. But I guess that and space heaters.
Yeah, space heaters are very dangerous. Of course, we always recommend if you use a space heater that you plug it directly into an outlet, not an extension cord. And again, that little piece of paper that comes with the unit will have all kinds of safety tips in regards to keeping combustibles away from it, or at least within not within 3 feet of in front or back or sides. Okay. So you don't want to set it too close to drapes or bedding or anything that's combustible like that. You want to have that 3-foot safe zone is what we say around those devices. And I tell you, a lot of times what we see is, and we're supposed to get snow this year, is when people go out and get wet in snow, they tend to drape clothing over fireplaces and things of that nature, and that's not recommended.
Right, I see that.
Yeah.
Now, what's the smoke detectors? We've changed ours out to what? Are they smoke and CO2s? Is that what it is?
Carbon monoxide?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that what you recommend too? I mean, is that a good thing to have?
Always good to at least have one smoke alarm on every floor. It's best if you can have one in every sleeping room and in the vicinity of every sleeping room, like in the hallway. Number 1 cause of fires, that's a good segue into that, cooking fires. Still, even through the holidays, unattended cooking or fires related to cooking, number 1 cause. Primarily because people get distracted, and pulled away from that cooking material, and it ignites. So they do make fire or smoke alarms for the kitchen that have a hush button on them. So, but you need to get one that's rated for that, else they become a nuisance and the battery gets taken out of them, or that device gets taken down altogether.
I'll say.
So there's all kinds. I mean, they make extinguisher systems that go under the hood or the fan over the stove, that if there's a fire on the stove can put them out. In the yellow pages of the phone book, if you look up fire extinguishers, most of those companies that sell fire extinguishers can sell systems that do such a thing. So
I didn't know they had those.
yeah,
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have used those when we first got married.
What, did you cook?
I think you got home before I did.
Yeah,
that's a good tip. I hope our son's watching though, because we've got a 13-year-old that we're starting to teach to cook, and we're always telling him, do not walk away from that stove for no reason whatsoever.
And a lot of times I see people that are maybe frying, doing French fries on the stove and pour oil in the pan. I'm hungry now. I crank it on high because I want it hot, and the phone rings, and they're out on the porch talking to their girlfriend or whatever, and meanwhile the stove is still on high.
Popping grease everywhere,
Yeah, and then it catches fire, and then the cabinet's on fire, and they walk back in, and the whole kitchen's on fire. So, of course, in a situation like that, you don't want to pick the grease up. I see that quite a bit too, and take the grease outside, cover it, or use the Guardians or the extinguishing system over the hood.
Right.
Would be perfect for that. But if you can put the lid on that to smother it, that's great. Do not use flour. You can use baking soda. Flour will actually
burn, will it?
Oh yes, it's quite flammable. Especially do not use water on a grease fire. It gets very violent. So, but cooking fires are 41% of the fires in residential occupancies over the holidays, and the heater fires are like 28. So those are the two highest causes for fires in homes.
Now you mentioned fire extinguishers. Now I know from a class I'd had a while back, it's been a while, that there are actually different styles of fire extinguisher for different ones. You just don't go buy one. You need to read what it's actually for, right?
That's correct. Most fire extinguishers that you buy are ABC rated. There's different classifications for fire. Ordinary combustibles like cardboard or paper are Class A. Class B fires are flammable liquids and gases, gasoline, kerosene, paint thinner, things of that nature. If it's a Class C fire, or if it's rated for a Class C fire, then that just means that you can shoot that fire extinguisher on an energized piece of equipment,
like computer systems.
Like a computer, and it will not conduct electricity back up into you. So that just means it does not conduct electricity, non-conductive.
Okay. Because I know there were different ones, and I think even the military, we had to watch which ones we bought for different stuff.
Yeah, those are just the primary hazards. There are commercial cooking, as a class for commercial cooking equipment, and then there's a class for combustible metals. And most people don't have combustible metals in their home, or they shouldn't have a commercial workshop where they use combustible metals.
Right.
So,
right.
Okay. If it's an ABC rated extinguisher, it's a general purpose extinguisher, and you're good with it. So.
Okay. Good. And it's good to have it in a place where you can get to it, right?
Absolutely.
Not buried
Don't
in
put
the
it behind the stove.
Right.
Try to reach through the fire to get it.
Yeah.
A lot of times we see people put them under cabinets, which is fine as long as it's accessible.
Right. Right. You don't want it in the very back of the cabinet, hidden behind everything.
Right.
Absolutely.
How did Robin's and Wilma's fire start? Something that combusted in. They had rags, didn't they?
Right. It was rags that had cooking oil in them, and they had. She had them in a grocery bag there by the washer and dryer in the heat.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also those combustibles up on the stove top near the stove is another very high reason for not only unattended food, but that as well. Having dish towels or hand towels or any other combustibles right there by the eye of the stove.
And I would think too, like your oils, your cooking oils and all that, a lot of times they put those in cabinets above your stove. I don't know why people design it that way. But they design you to put all your stuff that you need to cook with above the place you're cooking. And I mean, you got to think, if that catches fire, it's going to catch that cabinet. And
that's right.
You have to make sure what we got in our cabinets.
Yeah, you just triggered a thought.
Yeah, I just did. I was
then
thinking
the other, changing the batteries in the smoke detector, of course, right?
Absolutely. And of course, now we recommend that that you do that twice a year. But it really depends now because the culture is changing, and they make a 10-year long life lithium battery now that they're supposed to last 10 years. But we recommend that you replace smoke alarms after 10 years. So Kitty, I don't really want to do one or promote one brand, but they have a smoke alarm that has the battery built into it. So you put the whole unit up, you never replace the battery in it, and in 10 years you throw the whole thing away and get a brand new one.
I think ours is both, isn't it? Ours is wired and battery operated.
Same thing. 10 years. Keep them clean, and you can go to any department store around here or home improvement store and purchase those hardwired with battery backup smoke alarms. You may have to change the bracket based on the design, but
Right.
So they're good for 10 years.
yeah, we recommend you replace them after 10 years.
That's what I mean.
Of course, we recommend you test them monthly as well.
Mm-hmm.
The battery, or they may still have power, but sometimes the horn may. I had one that had the horn go bad in it.
Okay.
So when you push the test button, it hardly made a sound. I would not be able to hear it upstairs.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the whole unit got replaced.
I'll say when we had our second son, I would walk around the house and push the buttons because it was something that would keep him quiet for a while. So I did test it.
It got tested regularly.
And that's good. And that is a great segue into having a plan and testing that plan. Know what you're going to do and discuss it with your family in the event of a fire. Have that meeting place outside. I talk to the kids about this in the schools all the time. Have that place outside, that meeting place, because it's very easy to get split up in a fire because it grows so rapidly.
Right.
that the key point is to get out of that house and to go to that meeting place, and if not everyone is there, then that's where we come in, and that's what the guys on those engines, they go in there and they get people out of there.
Right.
So
we need to have one. We don't think we ever have had a natural, kind of like a test fire.
Not at home. We haven't.
We have to do that.
And really, it's good for all ages, not just kids if you have kids, but for instance, 12 years ago or so, there was an elderly couple in a trailer, and they were going out, and one went back for some reason to get her purse or whatever, and then went out the back door, and then he goes out the front door, and they don't know where each other are, so they walk around the trailer opposing ends. And they get to the other side, well, they're still not there. Well, he goes back inside to find her, and he gets overcome by smoke.
Well, so you get disoriented. I mean,
Right, and if they'd have just had a plan,
Mm-hmm.
then they would have known where to go outside, and may still both be, he would be alive today, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to have that plan.
We go to your mother-in-law's, or my mother-in-law's. But yeah, I'll say, because you hear about that in the holidays, it's just so much hazards. I mean, I just think about all the stuff. That we used to have a wood burner, and I thought about all that.
Yeah, candles are huge too.
I would say.
There's a lot of alternatives to candles now. There's devices that you can plug in that creates a flame behind the. I mean, it looks like a candle. They give off scents just like candles do. So that open flame with, decorations just like you have there. Dangerous combination. So never leave a candle unattended either. And have that safe zone, that 12 to 3 inches around candles of non-combustibles.
Now, is there something like on a website somewhere that people can go to and get these tips and print out the different stuff that you talk about?
Oh, absolutely. The United States Fire Administration, FEMA.gov has bukus of safety tips. And they even have video clips of Christmas trees that are burning, that are too dry, and one that is adequately watered. And you can see the side-by-side. You can see side-by-side demonstrations of home fire sprinklers and how effective they are compared to not having one. So all kinds of information at the usfa.fema.gov.
So I like going to the websites and reading all that stuff because, well, just here talking today, there's things in my mind now rolling, thinking I go home, check this, check that. Like I said, like the stuff above the stove. And I think about until you talk about, that's that high percentage of fires start at the stove. Because I would think space heaters would be a good one, a big one, or like the wood burner stoves and different things like that. But if you're saying it's around the stove, the actual cooking stove, that's something to go home and check and move everything around.
Absolutely. Make sure you have, if you have fire extinguishers, that's great. Big thing is smoke alarms, operating smoke alarms. The number of homes that have smoke alarms, huge. The number of homes that have working smoke alarms, little bitty. So, and it's just we put them up and we get complacent with them and we leave them there and we don't really do anything with them until they chirp at us when they need a battery or, but it's just one of those things that you need to keep in your mind and make it a habit.
Yeah, so
once
we
a
need to
month.
check all of ours again. 'Cause
Right.
we check them, but like I said, we never check them. I don't know how you would check them without the hookup.
You can push the button.
Yeah, there should be a test button
The button
on
you
yours.
push when you.
But it don't tell you if the battery is good or not, will it?
No, even
That's
in
what I'm
yours,
saying.
even
You
yours
might
that are
as well just-
hardwired with the battery
Right,
backup,
they'll still check all right. But the
it
battery
will
won't.
still beep if that battery goes
But
low.
if the power goes out for some reason, they won't work. So we need to just change batteries anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That'd
what
be
they're
a
saying.
plus.
Change the batteries
Yeah.
twice a year unless you buy those.
Yeah, usually change the clock, change your clock, change your batteries.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
but they'll let you know if the battery gets low. Just they have a device in them that it'll beep when if the battery say went low before the time that you changed them. If you change them at the time change,
okay,
then it'll alert you. Usually it'll do it at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're trying to sleep.
That's
Well, that's when you would notice it.
Yes.
That's when I'm going to sleep. I'll pass right
That's
by
what he'll
it.
think it's the alarm clock. Definitely. Well, Gil, we appreciate you being on the show today and
Love
giving
that.
us all these wonderful tips.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thanks for
I don't
having
know
me.
about the folks out there, but it gave us a lot
Yeah,
to
it
think
makes
about.
me think about a lot of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
Make your
definitely.
job easier, hopefully.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, Gil, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We had to have you back on it because I think there's a lot of information,
Oh,
not just
yeah.
for the winter, but I think in
wow.
spring, fall, summer, and there's a lot more stuff I'm sure that we don't think about.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Well, folks, we'll be back here in a few moments with our third guest, and I'm telling you there's some more good information out here. Stay tuned. We'll be back after these few breaks.
Town Americana, where trucks are big and bold, and a handshake is firm, and your word is gold. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens is a $2,000 drive. Maybe you're coming from here or here, doesn't matter. Buying a truck from Don Ledford in Athens will save you at least $2,000 bucks. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens, a $2,000 drive worth making.
I'll take that drive every time.
Hello, I'm Bill Odom.
Hi, and I'm Tammy Odom.
We want to invite you to join us on Joyous Living Today for interviews, testimonies, and gospel music by special guests and Dixie Sunshine.
Right here on WTNB, Sundays at 4 p.m. and Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. You don't want to miss it.
Jesus, Jesus, the light of the world.
At Crawford Pharmacy, we offer custom compounding. Our pharmacists are known for their attention to detail and unique expertise. So visit us at 2260 Chambliss Avenue, Cleveland, Tennessee. For personal assistance, walk right in or come up to our convenient drive-thru. Crawford Pharmacy, serving our community one person at a time.
Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast in Cleveland, is the place to find quality pre-owned cars and trucks. Kyle offers on-the-spot financing on all vehicles on the lot. Each pre-owned vehicle goes through a complete inspection to make sure each car and truck meets the Kyle Motors standard. Warranty and extended warranties available on all vehicles. Kyle Motors will sell you a car or truck that you will be proud to drive for many years to come. See Tony, Bill, Dale, James, or David and let them put you in your next quality pre-owned vehicle. Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast. Phone 790-7100.
Logan Thompson, attorneys at law, have built a firm offering quality legal services to the people and businesses of Southeast Tennessee. We have achieved expertise in all areas of law in order to represent our clients in a manner they need, deserve, and have come to expect. Logan Thompson, with 9 attorneys and an extensive and competent support staff, is available to provide representation in various legal areas, including family law, Social Security benefits, personal injury, criminal defense, workmen's compensation, as well as business and complex litigation matters. At Logan Thompson, we have been building a tradition of legal services for over 40 years. We have developed the finest legal services and are proficient in providing you with representation you can trust. Give us a call at 423-476-2251 to schedule your free consultation.
Featuring some of the South's most scenic views, the Mountain View Inn has been a landmark in the Cleveland community for over 40 years. Our executive guest quarters with flat-screen TVs and excellent bedding will make any guest comfortable. Carrie's Restaurant is one of Cleveland's favorite, with one of the best buffets around.
Hello, and on behalf of the Hughes family, thank you for so many years of your business and your friendship.
This segment of Tennessee Valley This Morning is brought to you by Crown Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland and 2120 Chapman Road, Chattanooga. For your next new or previously owned vehicle, make it Crown Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, the better way to buy.
Welcome back, folks. We're back here with our third guest. So glad to have Stan Clark with us today from the Bradley County EMS. He's got a lot of great information. I know we've got a lot of questions for him, so we're going to get right to it. Welcome, Stan.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Do you just start out, give us a little pointers? You know, it's the holidays. Sure. Just give us some pointers for the holidays.
Our two guests earlier touched on a couple of good things that helps me kind of lead into a few things. The police officer that was here earlier was talking about car accidents and seatbelt usage, and that's just really important. And I want to re-emphasize that seatbelt usage is important every day. The holidays, there's just more traffic, there's more people traveling. We'll see a rise in accidents. So just, put that seatbelt on. When I talk to kids in schools, I always tell them, wear your seatbelts, and if mom and daddy don't have their seatbelt on, tell mom and daddy to put their seatbelt on. And it's just real important to wear those seatbelts, guys, because I've seen so many accidents over the years where if someone had just took the simple time to put a seatbelt on, they'd still be alive today. It's just a simple thing to wear a seatbelt. And, our cars nowadays have other safety packages as well with airbags and so forth, but just because your car has an airbag doesn't mean you don't need a seatbelt, because all that works hand in hand and works together. So just very important to be safe and think about these things. Here the past couple of days we've really been busy in the EMS business. We've had 3 major accidents within the past 2 days, and just had one this morning, and the lady had her seatbelt on, and she was banged up, but had she not had her seatbelt on, she would have been severely injured. So I can't say it enough. Just please wear your seatbelts.
Well, what percentage do you think when you go out on calls do you find out that people are not wearing their seatbelt? I mean, what would you say, a high percentage?
Well, I don't think it's as high as it used to be as far as people not wearing them. I think it's become ingrained in us now that most people do wear their seatbelts, but periodically, and I wouldn't say it's a high percentage, I still, every now and then we'll come across someone. I'll say, did you have your seatbelt on? No, I didn't. And of course, I'll fuss at them a little bit, and in a nice way, and encourage them to wear their seatbelt. But I do still occasionally see people that don't wear them.
Do you see it more in like you said, the accidents with fatalities? Do you see it more that they weren't wearing it?
It depends on the severity of the accident, but one big thing that you do see happen, that if someone's not wearing a seatbelt in a situation where they're ejected from the vehicle, where they're thrown out,
right,
and then the
chance
force of being thrown out is enough to severely injure them or even kill them, and sometimes they'll end up getting their vehicle can actually roll over on top of them, things like that. But if they would have just had that seatbelt on, they would have stayed in the vehicle. The vehicle may have rolled several times, but then they would still be in their seat belted in, and that severe injury would not have occurred.
Okay. Now, someone that's been in an accident, the first thing, if there's 2 or 3 people in a vehicle, before you arrive at the scene, what's something that you would say to people? I mean, you first thing people want to grab people, start dragging them away from it. I mean,
when you're involved in an accident, and this is for people that's in the accident themselves, and also for bystanders that approach an accident scene, everybody wants to help, which is fine. If that car's on fire and somebody's in imminent danger of losing their life, by all means, get that person out of the vehicle. But what you don't want to do is move someone in a situation, if they've got a neck injury or a back injury, and if you move that person in the wrong way, they could end up paralyzed for the rest of their life. And you don't want that, obviously. But like I said, if it's a life-threatening situation, get them clear of that vehicle carefully, hopefully not to injure them more, but obviously if the car's on fire, that they're going to lose their life anyway, so we want to try to get them out. But if you're a bystander or if you're involved in an accident, you know, it's a scary situation to be in, but you've got to remain calm. Calm's the key. You've got to remain calm. You've got to think about what's going on, and just basic first aid until we get there. If someone's bleeding, control that bleeding. If someone's not breathing, then obviously the situation's pretty dire, and that person either needs CPR or some type of assistance to get that airway open. So you just remain calm, try to help the person the best that you can, and of course activate the 911 system so that we can get there to help.
Right. Now, you mentioned CPR. Is there places that someone can go and just to learn CPR? I mean, not to do it for just to be able to have that knowledge, because not everyone knows that they understand CPR.
CPR is very important, and I encourage anyone of any age to please take a CPR course. Lives can be saved and have been saved by just the quick action of simply starting CPR on someone. CPR has evolved over the years, and it's come along. Used to, everyone was like, oh, I can't do CPR. You know, I'm not going to put my mouth on that person. But now CPR has changed to the point to where you don't even have to do mouth to mouth. It's all chest compressions. So what they've decided and figured out that if you can do chest compressions on that person and keep that blood pumping, what little bit of oxygen is still attached to that red blood cell, you keep that pumping to the brain, that's enough to increase that person's survivability until we can get there and do more advanced stuff on them. But there's CPR classes available. If they'll check with American Red Cross, you know, Google American Red Cross and find a local chapter, they can call them, and I'm sure they can get them into a CPR class. Okay. And with that being said as well, I want to talk about AEDs a little bit, automatic external defibrillators. When a person stops breathing and their heart stops, the quickest thing that's going to save that person's life is what we call defibrillation. And what that means is we have a device on our ambulances as well, on our cardiac monitors, that can shock that person's heart, in simple terms. It's called defibrillation. When your heart stops beating correctly, it's just quivering, and that electricity that was making it pump, it's not working properly anymore, so you have to put an electrical charge through the heart to actually stop it from quivering, and hopefully it's going to start beating back again. Now, in today's times, we have AEDs in the shopping malls and the airports, anywhere there's a large gathering of people. Even our churches now have AEDs, which is so great because if someone goes down and has a cardiac arrest, the AED can be attached to them. It tells you everything that you need to do. It actually talks to you, walks you through step by step, and that person can get that shock a lot quicker than, well, you know, whereas before you got to call 911. You're hoping somebody's going to do CPR. You know, the ambulance is going to respond. So several minutes have went by before that person actually gets the treatment that they need. Now it's almost instantaneous. When you get that AED hooked up to them, they get that shock delivered. So that's increasing the survivability rate of people in cardiac arrest situations.
Now, those you mentioned those. Now, is that something like the I guess security or somebody in the shopping malls and places have, or is there somewhere marked that you would look for?
That's a very good question. In the shopping malls, anywhere there's an AED, there'll be a station where they have it attached, and it's usually behind a glass door, and it'll have a big sign over it that says AED on it. And most of them, once that AED is removed from its area, an alarm will start going off to notify someone to let them know that there's an emergency occurring. And in some places, once that AED is removed, it'll actually notify the 911 system.
That's pretty good.
In some areas. So I noticed around college campuses, they've got you know, stations like that also. So it's just it's become more of a normal thing to have the AEDs readily available for the general public, just for a cardiac arrest.
I want to start looking for those.
Yeah, that's good information. I didn't know that. Yeah,
be something to know that something somewhere, because I didn't know that.
Because you don't even have to know CPR to use the AED. Mm-hmm. It's going to tell you everything that you need to know. It'll tell you how to hook the pads up on them, and most of the time it'll perform the shock and everything. I mean, it literally talks to you step by step.
Wow.
It's pretty neat.
I want to start watching. I'm going to be on the lookout for those now. To see
Technology
what those are.
nowadays is great. You know, even in our business on the ambulance, the technology, the equipment that we have, and the treatment that we're able to do nowadays is absolutely incredible compared to what it was 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. It's just amazing. We're seeing, you know, lives saved because of it.
Well, probably just faster response time, but you're probably more trained.
Yeah, the training.
I mean, before it used to be you just pick it up, put the person, take them to the hospital.
Right.
And
We're pretty much a rolling emergency department now. We can do everything from, you know, cardiac monitoring. We can actually do, when I hook you up on a heart monitor, of course we're trained to understand what we're seeing on the monitor, but we can also transmit what we're seeing to an emergency department physician, and he can look at it as well, and that way we can determine, okay, this person's having a heart attack, and this is what we need to do. This is where we need to take them. This is where we need to get them to.
Right.
There's no delay in transport as far as, you know, well, let's take them here first, and well, no, then we need to take them over here. We take them right exactly where they need to go to get the immediate treatment that they need. So it's really changed a lot.
Streamlined
and
it.
of course, yes, very much so. And we're training every day. You know, we're always learning something new. So it's amazing the things that we can do now in EMS.
I've had to use it. Well, we use it for David. Other than that, I haven't. I've had to go to the hospital.
Right. Then, you know, back to the old adage, you know, it's people just need to know, you know, if you need help, you know, always remember, just pick up the phone and call 911. It's very simple. We've got great dispatchers at our 911 service. You know, I would say, of course, I'm a little biased, but obviously I think we've got one of the best 911 centers in the state. I mean, great people, they're trained well, and they just do a fantastic job. You know, they have to multitask. I mean, I can't imagine doing what they do because, you know, they've got several things going on at once. So we've just got a great 911 service. I can't say enough about them.
Well, what happened? Because who was talking to you once when David had his seizure? They was talking to you on the phone,
yeah, she
which
was
calmed us down a lot because
they're
and that
trained
really
very
calmed us
well
down.
at, you know, talking to people, keeping them calm.
She was
talking them through
dispatching while
everything.
she's talking to me.
Yep.
You know, you're right. They're multitasking. You know.
Because we was worried to death, but you know, we was worried, you know, just scared.
Well, when he stopped breathing, that's what scared
but she said,
me,
do
you know?
this, do that, and
you know,
slowly talked us through it, and then she could describe what was going on without seeing him.
Exactly.
And it was able to tell us, you know, he's fine. You know, they're there on the way.
Yeah, people don't realize the training those dispatchers have to go through. They're highly trained as well. They have a lot of training they have to go through. They're actually, you know, certified in what they do.
Right.
They're not just talking on the phone. They're doing a lot of stuff. So it's amazing.
We was lucky that they.
Right. We appreciate it very much. Definitely.
To have what we have in Cleveland and Bradley County as far as our 911 center, our emergency services. It's just fantastic.
Now, what would you, when you guys dispatched out, what type of calls? I mean, do you have to wait, like say an accident? I mean, you automatically get a call just like everyone else, or do they wait to see if somebody's hurt, or how do they do that?
No, generally, if they get a phone call from, say, someone from the general public calls in and say, hey, there's a wreck on Keith Street. Well, you know, if that person indicates that someone may be injured, they'll go ahead and send us.
Okay.
Generally, just to make, you know,
kind of a precautionary.
They'll go ahead and respond EMS in the Cleveland Fire Department in the city, of course, and then of course County Fire helps us in the county. You know, sometimes we go ahead and respond more than we may need, but we like to have a little more than not have enough when we get there, because we can always, you know, cancel other units as needed. So things of that nature. But yeah, they usually go ahead and call us and dispatch us immediately when they get the phone call.
Now we talked about, you know, the holidays, and this goes back to the safety thing. You know, children, safety for our children during the holidays. Yes, very important. You know, we've all got kids, and I speak to schools on a regular basis, and one of the safety things that I always talk to the kids about is to protect their noggins. And I tell them, I said, you're going to protect that noggin, and they have to wear those helmets. Helmets are very important for children to wear when they're riding their bicycles or skateboards or scooters. You know, they've got so many devices out there now that they ride, and so many ways they can get hurt. And unfortunately, you know, head injuries are the #1 cause of death in children. You know, and it's heartbreaking to see a child hurt, and you know, God forbid that one gets killed, but you know, it's out there and it happens, and
So I really try to preach that to the kids to wear those helmets to protect themselves. And you know, if you think something that you're fixing to do is not safe or might hurt you, just, you know, don't do it. And so, you know, if your kids don't have a helmet, please, you know, go, but they're not that expensive. Go get them a helmet to wear. And especially, gosh, motorized vehicles like motorcycles, four-wheelers, things of that nature, you know, it's a must. You've got to have that helmet on, because I've seen too many times accidents involving motorcycles and four-wheelers where people have been severely injured and even killed simply because they didn't have a helmet on.
Right. And these kids are getting younger riding those too. You'll see kids, you know, 9, 10 years old riding these four-wheelers.
Yeah.
And I know growing up, you know, the four-wheelers were kind of the more dangerous one because they flip on you all the time.
Oh yeah, you know, when years ago they had the three-wheelers too.
Yeah,
you know,
the
long,
three-wheelers,
long time ago, and it's just, there's so many ways you can get hurt. And you know, my kids, I told my boys, you know, you're not riding your bicycle unless you got your helmet and your pads on. Very simple, you know. Oh, I don't want to wear my elbow pads, Daddy. And you know, that's, you know, you're going to wear them or you're not going to ride the bicycle. You know, it's just that simple. Yeah. You know, especially you're going to wear a helmet for sure. But you know, those elbows and those knees hurt when you hit that pavement.
Oh yeah.
So you know,
we've all got plenty of scars
I've
from
got
that, don't we?
tons of scars on my knees.
Hey, protect them. You know,
right.
Gosh, you know, ambulance bills and emergency room bills aren't cheap.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper to buy the helmet, right?
So I've had 3 motorcycle wrecks.
Yeah.
Luckily, I walked away from all 3 of them, but I had a helmet on every time. But yeah, my knees show that.
Yeah. So you know, the holidays, things get hectic. You know, people just they're busy and focused on things, and you know, back to the safety issue, and this kind of falls under law enforcement. But when you're in your mall parking lots, moving, and you know, watch for cars. You know, people get run over in parking lots all the time. You know, be aware of your surroundings at all times. You know, there's people out there looking to steal things from you or hurt you. Yeah. You know, park in a lighted area. You know, we could go on and on, but there's so many. Just you should be aware of your surroundings. It's just, you know, try to be safe and don't put yourself in a situation to where, you know, something could happen. But it's Christmas and it's
New Year's
busy,
coming up,
and New Year's is coming up, and things are going to get busy in all of our departments.
Yeah, and that's why we wanted to have everyone on, because you know, I was thinking, you know, what would be a good thing for the holidays? And you know, everybody's thinking, you know, all this, Santa Claus and all this stuff, but you know what? It's the other side. I was thinking that the wrecks, the house fires, and everything. And I thought that would be a great show.
Like Gil mentioned, you know, that the house fires will increase, the cold weather, people using the heaters, and you know, of course now, you know, we got snow coming on. You know, that could be a whole other show. I mean, gosh, safety for the winter. Yeah. You know, being prepared for that. You know, for power outages and the snow, and so it's just good to be prepared. You know, think ahead about what can happen and things that you need to do.
Yeah. Well, I think all 3 today have given me a lot to think about.
A lot to think about.
A lot of information.
I'm gonna go home and check my smoke detectors.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm definitely gonna do that.
Right.
Well, Stan, we appreciate you being on here today. We're running out of time, but we have to have you back on. And like I said, you know, there's just different times. I mean, you talk about the school. How can somebody get a hold of you if they wanted to have you come speak at the school? What's the easiest way?
They can call the office, 728-7010. That's our Bradley County EMS Station 1 on Pollard Parkway. And they can call there and ask for me, and I'll be glad to come talk to your school or any public organization.
Okay. Well, folks, we do appreciate Stan being on here, as well as Gil and Matt. And folks, there's some good information here. Follow for this holiday season and even after the holiday season, and be safe at all times. We appreciate you watching today, and we'll see you next Friday.